What is going on, Puckheads, and welcome to the 5th episode of Pens and Pucks. As usual, I'm your co-host, Jordan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Nick. Nick, besides the tent that's pitched in your pants after the win, how are you feeling tonight, brother?
We got the flag out again there, Jordan. All right. Beating the Flyers. It's great.
Oh, yeah, and, we're sitting here privately hyping up Cody Cece's game, so it's one of those games, right? So, before we get into the game, just heading into this game, how are you feeling after the Thursday night debacle where we scored 3 in 71 seconds and the wheels, the proverbial wheels fell off real quick for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as expected? How are you feeling after that game and then heading into this game?
Well, somewhat shaky. The loss the other night was definitely disappointing. We scored those 3 goals right away, those first 4 minutes of the game, and everything seemed to be on par. But then the wheels fell off, and the rest is history. But today, again, with Elliott being in net, I thought for sure they were going to start Carter Hart today. And we went back with Jari, which was positive, and played another solid game. Mm-hmm. I did think today might have been, one of those Jekyll and Hyde games because we're not very good in afternoon games. Yep. So, that was a big concern. Yeah, historically, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, obviously I was a little nervous too, especially on Sunday afternoons are a disaster for us, especially when we're on NBC. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I love Doc Emmerich, I almost have a brain aneurysm every time I tune in on Sunday and we're out there. All right, so a big win today, 4-3. We've talked multiple times about the possession. Winning the possession battle. And that starts in the face-off circle. We got absolutely slaughtered today in the face-off circle. Philadelphia Flyers put up a 65% winning percentage. We put up only 35%. But another point we've always told people is when we win the shots on goal battle, we got a chance too, and we won that today, 27-22. We won. We had 9 giveaways to their 5. You know what I mean? So again, not disciplined hockey. We can sit here and talk about that bonehead play by Lafferty that led to the 2-on-9, or we could also talk about the bonehead play by Evgeny Malkin on a 2-on-1, dropping it back. I don't know what he was doing there. Take the shot, Gino. Well, another thing too is our power play. We were 2 for 3 today. They were only 1 for 4. So we won the special teams battle as well. What were your thoughts on today's victory? And where do we go from here a little bit?
Well, a couple of things I noticed right away when we look at the metrics for this game. Number one, we outshot them 27-22. We outhit them 35-32. But like you said, the face-offs, we were way off today. But we won the special teams battle, which is huge. So if you're not going to get puck possession, winning the special teams battle is key to us winning that game. I would say the game did not start off really on the right foot. Gino took that ridiculous penalty, that tripping penalty. You don't want to give the Flyers multiple opportunities to, get a couple of leads on us in the beginning of the game, which was ridiculous. And then you go back.
And Pettersson was just begging for them to score on one of the penalties he took. That guy is absolutely useless. Anyway, sorry.
One thing there with Pettersson, and we'll talk about him in 1 second, but then you have the Lafferty drop pass there that you had the defenseman coming in. He was standing still. They went on a 2-on-0.
Yeah.
Bad change. Went on a 2-on-0, back to back. Jari almost had it. He played it well, but just totally ridiculous. I think we're one of the teams, Jordan, that have given up so many 2-on-0s, 3-on-0s this year. It's ridiculous. We've talked about it on air, off air. It's, again, it goes back to, and we talked about this just before we came on the show, is the third and fourth liners understanding the role and realizing that, we do not need them to score. We need them to get the pucks in deep, work the cycle, create zone time, grind it out, keep the puck in the Flyer zone, whoever we're playing, get off, and then let the top 6 worry about, getting points and putting some goals on the board.
Yeah, I agree, man. And you made a good point there, right? Like, not
Mm.
only do we make a bad change, but then Pedersen comes out and he's flat-footed right away. Like, what do you do? What are you doing, bud?
Right away. And that opportunity there with Lafferty, he should have put that puck in deep into the corner. Okay. And you know what? If he would have done that, we would have been safe. Pedersen would have came off the bench, held the blue line. We create the cycle. But again, it's this fancy shit that the
Yeah.
third and fourth liners want to do during the games that causes turnovers that relates to that transition game for the other teams.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you, like, you even had Evan Rodriguez doing a drop pass. I mean, he attempted
Right.
one, he couldn't actually do it. But,
Yeah.
when you're in the bottom six, I get your skilled player, Evan Rodriguez, but that's not what we're asking you to do right now. Put the fancy, put the dangles and, all Swedish, no finish. All right. Like, we're not
Yeah.
asking you to do that, brother.
Well, like our buddy came up a few times today, and he came about like what do you call that episode of these drop passes? Evan Rodriguez, Pens fans, good hockey player, pretty good hockey IQ, but he's not a fourth line player. He's gonna try that fancy stuff. Same with Lafferty.
Yeah.
We're missing that. We're missing guys that want to grind it out, like you said, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
It is a big problem on this team right now. This team right now is, like I said, I use the terminology all the time, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get shift to shift, game to game, week to week. We took 2 out of 3. We talked about this Tuesday night. Getting 2 out of 3 against the Flyers, and really, we should have swept the 3-game series being up 3-0 the other night.
Yeah.
Okay?
Inexcusable.
Inexcusable. So, we take the 6 points, or sorry, the 4 points, and we have the Rangers tomorrow night. A couple of things I also noticed is that on our PK tonight, yes, we were 1 for 4, or so the Flyers were 1 for 4, but we're playing too aggressive. Okay, at one point during our PK, we had 3 guys on the same side of the ice battling out for that puck, and I know that Sully's system is be aggressive on the puck during the PK. But what happens with the Penguins is they lose control of the box. There's guys wide open for tip-ins, for backdoor passes, and we see that happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we need to be more stationary in that box and sticks in the lanes. And again, yes, 1 for 4, but I think the PK was somewhat lucky today.
And you're right, because we mentioned on Tuesday night, Sean Couturier had a couple one-timer chances at the bottom of the circle on the peak on the power play for them. I don't know who it was today, but same thing happened. He just who was it? Where he just fanned on it, and it was all net, and he just happened to fan on it.
I think it was a defenseman that came in from the point.
Yeah, came in high.
He pitched in. Getzel lost his man, and it was a one-timer. Bury it right in there, right?
And here's the thing: when you got 3 guys on the puck against the boards, how much white ice is there right now? You know what I mean? Like what are you doing?
We're already short. We're already outmanned. And that's another thing with the Penguins system right now when we're 5-on-5 is the structure in our own zone. There's a lot of running around. There's not a lot of guys in their position. You have sometimes the wingers are playing the center position, vice versa. And with Philadelphia, what they tend to do is they bring their D and they pinch hard. Okay. So one way to stop this is, again, with some of the teams I've coached in the past, when we played against teams that pinched hard, what we would do is we'd have our wingers stay with their defensemen all the time, wherever the puck is in the zone. So if the puck's in the Penguin zone, the wingers are staying with their D. So they can't pitch in, because if they pitch in, we're going to chip it out. We're going to chase it. Odd man rushes. It stops the pinch. Now, with the Penguins team, their wingers tend to stay where the hash marks are and deeper. One rule of thumb, if I'm coaching the team, anything below the hash marks as a winger, you're not going down low. What happens is, and Sully talked about this in his press conference, right now, all the teams are collapsing. This is how the NHL is working right now. All the teams are collapsing in their own zone. They're protecting the front of the net. Okay? So what happens is all the open ice is from the top of the circle to the blue line. Okay? And this is what's happening. And Pittsburgh's falling into that trap. Why do you have to play like the rest of the league? You don't have to. Structure the team. Put the wingers on the D when you're playing a team that the D pinches in, and you will be all right. Not me to say that's, Sully's won cups and everything like that. Fine. But I think they have to look at how they're playing in their D zone.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it before we went live. It's Bilesma all over again. These guys are getting comfortable. They're getting complacent. And, is it time? Brian Burke is a no-nonsense individual.
Yeah.
Is it time he brings in a no-nonsense coach? Because, are we getting to a point where they're tuning Sully out a little bit?
I think they're tuning. They started to tune Sully out after they won the back-to-back cups. To be honest with you, we saw them lose to Washington. Then we saw that atrocious series against the Islanders, and then you go into the bubble and you get embarrassed by the Montreal Canadiens.
And me and you both knew that was coming too. That's the scary thing.
We predicted that before the playoffs. We're like, if you're going to get any team, you don't want to play Montreal because Carey Price can steal a series on you. But do I think they're tuning them out? Let's say this. How about we put this out there, Jordan, and I'll ask you this question. Maybe it's not tuning Sully out. Maybe they don't have the roster to play the way Sully wants them to play. Could be, right?
Could be.
Right? I think because Sully wants to play that fast-paced speed game, create turnovers, really offensive style, whereas we don't have the horses to play that.
Can I hit you? Let me hit you with a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you got the coaching experience. Mm-hmm. Isn't it his job as a coach to adjust his game plan to what he has to work with?
Yeah, but Sullivan's stubborn. Yeah,
but I don't got time for stubborn, bro.
I don't have time for it.
Okay, because this is what happened with stubborn, all right? And you were talking about this privately, all right? Mm-hmm. Washington beat us under Barry Trotz, okay? Yeah. Now, you could make them an excuse for the team that they were a way more talented team, whatever you want to say, okay? The problem is, and I said to you, the next year, you go and get beat by the Islanders, coached by Barry Trotz. It's a totally different roster he's working with, okay? The talent level, yeah, they had Barzell and such, but let's be honest, they didn't have what Washington had on their cup run, especially in the net, and they basically did exactly what the Caps did. They bought in, and they beat us with a far less talented roster than the Capitals, but the same game plan. So I pose this question to you.
Yes.
Should he be switching it up because the league's figured him out, especially when we hit the playoffs?
Well, he should have switched it up after 2018. Bottom line, he should have switched it up. You talk about longevity and coaches, shelf life, and we talked about this offline too today. We saw this with Bilesma. Okay, actually, let's go back to Therrien, 08. Got them to the finals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. He pushed a lot of different buttons.
Yeah.
Okay. He shook up the core. They really couldn't handle it anymore. They started tuning them out in 08 of December. Okay. They were going on that bad run. We talked about it the other show about, being at that game where they blew the lead against the Leafs.
February, Valentine's Day of 09, and he got fired
And he got fired. Yeah, he got fired the next day. They bring in Bilesma. He brings in a different voice, different system. They go on a run. They win the cup. Okay?
Yeah.
Bilesma struggles after he wins the cup. 2010, 2011, right?
And what year? One of those years weren't we up 3-1 on Tampa? And
that was
and Stahl was manning the top line, and we still blew it.
Right, because Sid was out, so it was Stahl and Gino that were the horses in that series. We blew it, and then you go, back-to-back playoff disappointments, right? And then they fire Bilesma, and then Rutherford comes in. He hires Mike Johnston. Well, that's that was like getting somebody for a Timbit hockey team. But that being said. They brought in Sullivan. He brought in the boys from Wilkes-Barre, and all of a sudden, new voice, new system, cups.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, what that tells me is this core of Letang, Malkin, and Crosby, are they the problem? Are they the ones?
Or do they respond well to shakeups?
Well, I think if you look at Letang's game over the last 3 weeks, since Burke and Hextall have arrived, he's a different hockey player.
Yeah.
I'm actually, maybe if I was in
player of the month for February, you don't got to tell me that.
Right, there you go. I'm sure if maybe we were in the Penn's gear shop at PPG,
don't even go there.
We might be even looking at a Letang jersey for Jordan. Who knows? I'm not
sure.
Where's
my Letang blanket, bro? I asked you earlier, right?
Oh, geez, that Jiffy Lube, man. He's that Jiffy Lube, right? But no, but like you said, I think Sully should have changed his style to his roster. It hasn't been that roster since we went back to back. It's been,
and then they start getting rid of the guys with legs like Sheary, all those guys with legs that could contribute. You know what I mean? When the HBK line fell apart, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You saw guys like Sheary, Hagelin, even a guy like Dominic Cahoon. Okay? Yep. Very good hockey player. He's got some legs. Puck possession was starting to come along, but then Rutherford, decided to deal him for Sheary. But going back to the game today again, it's just the funny things that you watch with the Penguins. What they do is, so there's one thing that caught my eye. It was at the end of the period. We're on the PK, okay, and Jankowski's out there with Tanev.
The Jaws, baby.
Yeah, horrible. But so Jank gets waved out of the faceoff. Tanev comes in there, big turbo, ready to win that draw. We're on the PK. Remember this, Jordan. Jank decides to line up behind them for Tanev to push the puck back to him, win the draw back, and go for an offensive shot. Like, instead of hanging tight at the hash marks, because in case that Philly defense or centerman pushes that puck forward through Tanev, they're on an odd man rush. This is the little stuff that is ridiculous. It's even with Tanev. Another scenario on the PK. Again, I think he was out with Jank. Jank gets waved out of the face-off circle. Okay, we're in our zone, the Penguin zone, killing a penalty. So Turbo, love Turbo, takes the face-off. Trivia question for you: does he decide to pop it back, or does he decide to go forward for an offensive chance? And where does that puck go to? It goes. He wins the face-off straight to the Flyers defenseman, and they get possession.
Yeah.
Like, this is minor Bush League bullshit that the Penguins are doing. And it's the little things, because Sully always used to say in his conferences, press conferences, it's the little things. They're playing the right way. To me, that is not playing the right way. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And who do I blame? Who do I blame for this disaster? It might be not Sully. It's the Charlotte Checkers AHL coach, contender, cup winner, Mike Vellucci.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's running the offense. He's making those line changes. That's BS. Like, and I read an article the other day about these assistant coaches. Sully did not have a say in who they were picking for the assistant coaches, Jordan.
Yep, JR picked them and then left us high and dry, bro.
Right, but Sully, he wants to pick his assistants because those are the guys
which he should be able to.
Which he should be able to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind Todd Reardon, I really don't. But Vellucci has no business being behind that bench right now. Maybe, a couple years in the AHL, and then you bring him up. But
him and Mike Johnston should start a coaching staff somewhere.
I think I coached against them, actually. Maybe in a minor hockey.
Oh, so you got a chance, bro. Now
I got a chance. Hey, listen, man, my dream, right?
Oh, you'll turn things. Oh, you'll be head coach in about 6 months, bro.
You got it, yeah, man.
All right. So overall, how would you grade the overall performance?
I'm gonna give the team a C today.
I agree with that. I would go C-, but I'll go with C with you.
We'll take the 2 points.
Yeah.
Bright side for me of the game was 71. Malkin.
Yeah. That wraparound.
Nice.
Yeah. He was active today too, so that was a good thing to see.
His rush for the winning goal with McCann's goal there.
Yeah.
He had his feet moving in the neutral zone. Right. Yeah, and the stupid penalty, but the one question I have also,
what I just got to say though, I got to say to you, At least he showed some passion when he messed up too by going to the bench, clearly frustrated. You know what I mean? We hadn't really seen that from him really in terms of you'd see more frustration where you could tell today was more about passion, like, oh, I messed that up. I shouldn't mess that up again. You know what I mean? It's nice to see him recognizing his mistake instead of just getting frustrated because things don't go his way. So that was nice to see.
He did break the glass on the
I know, but you could you could tell that was out of that was basically out of the energy of I shouldn't be doing that. I should be better than that. Not when he's frustrated like a baby. So that was good to see. I took that as more of a passionate,
right?
You know what I mean, instead of frustration. So because when Gino gets frustrated, it's over for his game, right?
Yeah, I would rather see him do stuff like that. Showing that he cares and he's passionate.
I agree.
And wants to do well than pouting on the bench.
I agree.
Right. And he's keeping his feet moving. But the question I have for you, where is 87? Where is 87? You know?
Yeah, I remember that one drive where Rust came down. I think it was in the second period. Rust came down hard down the right side boards, got it in, one with his legs. Sid went behind the net. Puck gets off Rust's stick behind the net, and no effort from Sid to even get to the puck behind the net at all. And it was right in front of him. Defenseman picks it up and clears it out. I was like, come on, Sid, you got to be better than that, bud.
But here we go again.
Buddy
Gino plays well.
His head and heart might be in Nova Scotia right now. I don't know what's going on with him, right?
I don't know. But overall, I give the team a C. I think the effort was there. The structure to me is definitely way off right now. We were talking about it quickly before we get into the next topic here is looking at, I watched the Boston-Washington game last night. And just looking at the structure of the Bruins, they only have one line that scores, Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron. And really, if you look at our team, we're very similar in terms of the players we have. We actually have more firepower than the Bruins, but the Bruins just play a structured game, and they win. They win. They just know how to win.
Nicholas does make a good point. That was a beautiful saucer pass to lead Gino to the wraparound on his goal. That saucer pass from the other side of the ice to him, like right on the tape, was freaking money. And you know what's nice too, though? I got to say this. Other than Gensel, how many guys do you see consistently handle the saucer passes from Sid, right? It was nice to see someone actually handle it and then make something happen of it, because that's been rare. But I'll give you that, Nick. Yeah, it was a nice saucer pass, but
it was a beauty.
I need a little bit more than that. It's a 60-minute hockey game, and that's what, a second and a half of the game. I need a little bit more than that, though.
So the one thing I would say is correct with that saucer was a beaut, and it was a seam pass right through the lanes there. But again, if you get a chance to watch Patrice Bergeron, if you get a chance to watch him on the next few games, watch his leadership qualities. The body language never is negative. There's a bad play, he sucks it up, goes to the bench, moves on. The problem with the Penguins, and again, Sidney, one of the best players ever to play the game. Gino, one of the best Europeans to ever play the game. But their body language, when you have a letter on your chest, you cannot act like that, because the guys will follow. Your players will follow you. And that is a big issue for me. It's the body language when passes don't happen, things are not going right. Suck it up and get out there. You are there to lead your team. And, that's the biggest, whispers, Sid's a little bit of a sucky baby when it comes to, and it's always been one of his things. Same with Gino, same thing, right? But if you watch Patrice, he's a great leader, plays a two-way game, and it all stems from leadership. If you're not buying into, so Jordan, you've played sports, I've played, hockey, coached hockey. If your leaders are not buying into what the coach is telling you, the rest of the team is going to follow the leadership.
I agree.
So that's a question there.
And the tic-tac goal, the second power play goal was pretty nice too, with Gensel, Rust, and
beauty
there. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. I got to ask you though, what are your thoughts before we move on here about the McCann, Malkin, and Kapanen pairing?
hey, it's looked good the last couple of games, not too bad. You definitely have speed.
Colby Armstrong was like stroking it off to that.
Oh, was he?
In the
Yeah.
post game, yeah. He said,
Yeah.
you see, what can happen with this team when that line gets going. You know what I mean? The impact that line can have on the game, et cetera, et cetera.
I do like that. Malkin has two wingers that can play a speed game. That definitely, he doesn't have to be the guy that's first in the corner or whatnot. But one thing that I would say with that particular line is not Kapanen maybe, but McCann has to understand that, Gino's not going to be that guy that's going to back check hard. So either it's Cappy or it's McCann that's got to be that third guy back because they got legs, right?
Yeah. But think about that. We're depending on a guy like Kapanen to back check. Oh boy. You know what I mean? And let's be honest. All right, let's keep it moving here, brother. All right, so
I think you're freezing up there a little bit, Jordan. There.
Yeah. We're good.
Okay.
All right, so let's keep it moving here. Before we get into the Bruins, Washington stuff, let's go over some coaches that could be on the hot seat right now. And you could say Mike Sullivan and Dave Tippett and Rick Tocchet. Their seats are getting a little warm. Let's be honest. John Hines in Nashville, David Quinn in New York. And even Jeff Blashill, they're almost up, the creek with no paddle. But when you talk about guys who are really on it, obviously Dallas Eakins, Travis Green, Ralph Kruger, even Torts looks like it might get bad for him. Who are some guys you've identified that are on the hot seat to you?
Well, are we talking like guys that are on the really hot seat or blue or green today? But I would say this, Jordan. For me, looking at what I did was that about this topic is discuss the each division and what I think that some of the coaches on each division are on the hot seat. Okay. So if you look at the North, there's two coaches to me that are definitely on the hot seat. And, one of them is a UFA coach at the end of the year, is Travis Green. They were trending really well in the bubble. I know the loss of Markstrom definitely, hampered the goaltending, with Demko and Hopi. But Travis Green, that team is trending downward right now. Jim Benning has a lot of heat on him, so we'll see where that Green is at the end of the year. Another guy in the North Division would be Tippett with the Oilers. As crazy as this sounds, but they've had the carousel of coaches recently, but I think they're underperforming again. With McDavid, the best offensive player in the world, Draisaitl, a decent roster, to be swept by the Leafs this week and handled the way they were, shut out twice. To me, he's on the hot seat. Now, does he get fired this year? No, maybe in the offseason. So those are the two coaches I'm looking at in the North. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agreed. I named both of them. So
yeah.
Tippett might be a little bit more on the lukewarm side if the team, because that team can go off anytime, right? Because of the offensive firepower. But you know what? You make a good, you make a good argument for Tippett. So being on the hot seat. So I can't disagree.
Yeah. Then you look at the Central. There's definitely a few coaches that are, Nashville's coach, Detroit's coach, and then you got Dallas, right? So those three coaches there. You have Rick Bowness, an older guy. They had success in the bubble, went to the finals, but they're under 500 so far. Blashaw in Detroit, that team is, where are they going? Detroit, they're in their rebuild. You should start to see some type of traction happening in that team and in the standings, but they're still trending in 7-16-3, really ugly hockey. you have Dan Bylsma back there as a defense, as a coach as well. So maybe I'm not sure what's happening there. And then you have our boy in Nashville that was,
Hines.
Hines. That was our Wilkes-Barre coach. He went to Jersey. Things didn't go well for him in Jersey. And now he's in Nashville, and
And that offense is putrid.
Right. Yeah. So those three coaches for sure. And then you have Torts. What happens with Torts here? I know the GM came out and said that he's safe. He believes Torts can get him out of the jam, but they're just hanging on right now. They're 6 points behind Chicago,
and they got talent, right? They got talent on that team, brother.
Well, the Patrick Laine trade and Roslovic, that was a huge trade, and they got talent, like you said. They got decent goaltending. They got some forwards, some D. Maybe they need a new voice. Maybe all the benching and all the nonsense that goes wrong along with Torts. Again, he's a coach that 2 or 3 years gone. See you later. Because his
short shelf life, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we talked about it with Sullivan. He's the perfect example of a guy who gets tuned out pretty quickly, right? And all because of the things you named, right? It's same thing with why Therrien got eventually tuned out, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I've seen it even with myself coaching. I'm sort of that similar style of Torts and Sullivan. Very hard on my players. I respect my players, but I'm hard on them. And I saw it, back in when I was coaching under 16. I had the team for about 3 years, and that third year, they started tuning me out. We had successful seasons the year before, with winning and whatnot, championships and everything. But that third year, I started seeing the core, not really, like the yelling in their ear and calling them out or whatnot. So it does happen. But those guys there, Jordan, like a Torts, a Sullivan, Therrien, Claude Julien, those guys are in there for 2-3 years. They're in there to change the message, change the culture.
You better take Sullivan's name off that list, because you know what I mean. We've doubled up his shelf life. Let's be honest.
Okay, so take him X off him. Okay, right now.
But anywhere else, I actually agree with you. He would only last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and I think he only lasts a couple of years in Boston as well, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the East, again, going back to I think Buffalo, that is just a disaster in the making. I cannot believe what the talent this team has. They're just a mess. They're a train wreck. I think Kruger's gone. Kevin Adams had a press conference yesterday at 4:30. I know the Toronto media over here, Overdrive, was just, calling them out. Why are you having a press conference when you're, 6-13, or yesterday they were 6-12-3. They lost again today. They were up 1-0 on the Oilers, and then
6 straight losses for the Sabres today. Today.
Right. So he had that press conference. I'm not sure why he didn't, give his coach a vote of confidence. He didn't give his team a vote of confidence. He said he needs a trade. So, you can't trade the whole team. What happens? You got to fire the coach.
Do you think Jason Botterill might go down with him?
He's already gone, though, Jordan.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. I know, because you know what, Botterill's tenure there was only like a year, so I always remember that he was there as well, but he got fired, and I think he got fired just for signing Jeff Skinner to that contract, which was totally a disaster.
Well, I remember when they hired Kruger, a lot of people thought it was kind of like an outside of the box hire. Do you think, he went from a guy who might deserve another shot in the NHL to a guy who's just not an NHL coach?
I think he's an assistant coach. I think he's a guy that, can come up with different game plans, different strategies. The assistant coach is supposed to be the buffer between players and the head coach. And I think that's where maybe his forte is that buffer. He knows the game well. Very good hockey mind, international hockey. He's won at the international level. But
so would you move him up into hockey operations instead of keeping him as a coach?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's something that I would look at. Right. I think any team that gets Kruger, or any organization, is getting somebody that knows hockey very well. But he hasn't had success as a head coach with the Oilers, now with the Sabres. You also have Lindy Ruff. That was a really weird hiring for New Jersey. rebuild, getting an old guy to come in, old style hockey. I'm not sure how that's going to last either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the coaches that you've
sorry,
listed,
just one more.
go ahead.
Division.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one more division.
By the way, do you think the Sabres are going to hire Ted Nolan when they fire Kruger or what?
Hey, listen, you know what? Good coach. They had success with him, right? But he's been buried, just like other coaches get buried, right? So,
anyways, continue. Sorry, I took it. Yeah.
No, it's okay. And then you got the West, where I think, Anaheim's coach, they're in sort of a rebuild. He's sort of somewhat safe. You have the boogeyman in San Jose. They're 8-10-3. What's the expectation in San Jose right now? They have a pretty good lineup. Their goaltending is weak, but if you look at their defense, it's pretty stable. Their offense, so maybe Butner gets the boot as well. So Anaheim and San Jose might be looking, and then we have what we posted today, which I'm a big fan of, and I think that I would love to see this. If you're a Penguin fan, you want to see Rick Tocchet be the head coach of this team next year. That's the guy you need to get. Yeah,
I agree with that, actually, man. Yeah. Look at the response they had to him when he was one of the assistants here. He was like the most well-liked guy on that staff, right, by the players. Right. And you can get a good 2 or 3, 4 years out of him for sure.
Right, and he's done a good job with Arizona for the roster he's had in the gong show that's happening in Arizona.
Everyone would buy in.
Right, and that is the key thing, because he does have that fear of God when he coaches. He's a mean SOB, right? And he expects and he demands perfection. And
can I ask you though?
Yeah,
I gotta ask you, because you're right. Yeah. He's a mean SOB.
Yeah,
but why do our players respond to him in terms of liking him so much more than the other hard asses we brought in here during the Crosby Malkin era? Like, why do they? Is it because he actually, when he played, performed at a high level?
He won a Stanley Cup
as a player.
Very, very key. Like, again, we can talk, you and I, on these shows or whatnot. The guys that have rings demand respect as soon as they walk into the room. And with Tocchet, it's not,
because Crosby's one of his biggest backers, from what I understand, right?
Right. And then that was one of the biggest things with Recchi, is that Crosby and Recchi did not have a good relationship. And that started out
when he was a player. Remember, Recchi was talking crap. Him and Leclerc were talking crap, bro.
Yeah. I can't believe that piece of shit played for the Penguins, Leclerc. Anyways,
oh my god, yeah.
That was a bad year, but
I wish he got the over the middle of the ice Stevens on Lindros treatment. To be honest with you,
exactly. But you know what? The one thing that I was driving home last night, and I was thinking about this before posting this morning, is how ironic would it be is that you have the GM is Ron Hextall of the Flyers, and then your head coach is going to be Rick Tocchet, right? Yeah. 2 iconic players from the Flyers days. It would be pretty crazy. Yeah. And they're coaching the Penguins and, managing the Penguins.
But you know what? I'm totally on board with that, bro. That Rick Tocchet, that is the effing move, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if they fired him tomorrow, buddy, I'd turn around if Sully doesn't get things going. I'd be like, you're out, you're in, thank you, bye.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You could literally make that change mid-season, and the team's not going to have an issue with it because of their history with Tocchet. They'll probably respond right away, and we'll have a totally – and you know what I like about Rick Tocchet? He'll know how to work with what we got. He won't be this stubborn jackass that Mike Sullivan's turning into, bro.
Yeah, he'll also bring a grind to the game.
Yes. Buddy, this bottom 6 nonsense going on right now, you think that's going to fly when Ricky Boy walks in the room? Oh, no. No.
Hey, it's I'll say this. It's almost better that Tocchet has gone to Arizona.
Because he had no chance.
Well, no, not only that, is that just like with every job, when that assistant manager, wherever you work, gets promoted and he becomes a manager of, maybe the same department where he was the assistant manager, you sort of have that whatever, because that friendship or whatever it is, you have that camaraderie with him. Now he's gone for 4 years. He's going to come back. He's okay, boys. You know what? Forget the shit I talked about back in the day. I'm the HC now. It's my way. Yes, I respect the relationships that we had, but I'm the HC now. So either you're on board or you're not.
And he's going to have the chip on his shoulder because of what has transpired in Arizona.
Yeah.
Because it's like what you said. He's basically almost got the most you can get out of off what that team's given him. And the team didn't give him much. So, you know what I mean? And I think he could get a lot more out of a team full of aging superstars. You know, I think he'd get a lot more than what Sullivan is right now.
You also have to think of the relationship he would have with Hextall and Burke because they have the same mindset, right?
Mm-hmm. Player moves would be, Yep. Agreed. Nick's got a good question. Yeah. Do you keep McCann on that second line when Zucker comes back?
Yes, Nick, because I think that Zucker is a third line player. If you can sort of get a line like the HBK line with Zucker with some speed, some offensive ability, and then if you can find that third line center in a move like we've been discussing, the last few shows, what I would like to see the Penguins do, Nick, is bump that Tanev, Bluger, and Czar line to the fourth line and create a third line that has tenacity, truculence, Berkey, and put some goals in the net as well. We won cups for one reason and one reason only. Yes, the superstars. But if you go back to 2009, Jordan Stahl, Tyler Kennedy, those boys there, okay? You go back to 2016, 2017.
I'm hurt that you didn't name Max Talbot, by the way, but okay, let's continue.
Talbot.
I know he was fluctuating, right? So
back and forth.
Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Love 25, right? Like this will be ever
iconic, brother.
Iconic, yeah. So I would leave McCann on that. I let that line sit for maybe 5 games, see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right. So when we've identified some coaches on the hot seat, what coaches do you think are going to be available?
Well, I put a list together of 7 names. Okay.
And now are these specific to what we should be looking into if Mikey don't work out?
There's 2 coaches that I would go after if Mikey doesn't work out and if Tocchet doesn't want to come back to Pitt. Okay. Or he re-ups in Arizona. But I'm telling you guys now, you heard it first on Pens and Pucks. He is not going to re-up in Arizona. There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes there with management and ownership. It's ugly. There was a big report on The Athletic about a week and a half ago that really disclosed a lot of nonsense and a lot of ugly stuff, with their general manager leaving the organization during the season and going with another organization. He's been suspended. So I think Tocchet won't re-up. But I have a couple names for Pens fans out there, and tell me what you think, Jordan. So have Gerard Gallant. Okay. Has had
recent success. Yeah.
With Vegas, brought them to the Cup first year. He is a hard-nosed coach. He had success in Florida. He got the raw deal of a new GM coming in and making his name, and that was a disaster. That Florida, this guy Rowe came in, he became head coach and GM, and just whatever. But they became a disaster there. So Gallant's one of the guys that I would look at. Hard-nosed, no crap. And he's sort of a player's coach too as well, which might help this particular team because they do like that stuff here in Pittsburgh. And then I'm going to go to a guy, Jordan, that we talked about for years. And
are you going to say his name? The Babs?
I'm going to say his name.
Oh.
I'm going to say Mike Babcock. He is in the NBC studios right now. Supposedly he's got some gig as a head coach in Saskatchewan, University of Saskatchewan. But I think that's just a ploy. He's been out of the limelight for a number of months since he got, fired by the Leafs. He's still getting paid his $6 million. But with him coming back in the limelight with NBC Sports, Jeff O'Neill, the old dog on Overdrive, he thinks this is a ploy to get his name out there for people to start liking him again. Whereas, all this bad stuff came out of the way he treated Marner and all that stuff. So he's trying to build up his reputation. Babcock can win. I know he hasn't won in a little while, but he's coached Sydney, and he knows how to move with.
And he
Sid.
said he wants to coach Sydney before he retires too.
Right. So, you have Babcock. Really, those are the two guys. Again, if you want to recycle Claude Julien, okay. But other names out there that are available and guys that I really don't think would be the right fit for Pittsburgh. Bruce Boudreau, okay. He wins in the regular season but doesn't win in the playoffs, okay. Then you have John Stevens, another coach that's out there. Yeah, and you have a couple ex-Penguins as well. You have I hate to say this, but Mike Yeo. I know you chuckle. I
hate
that
guy, bro.
Mike Yeo, and then you have Therrien. As crazy as that sounds. So I know those last
check hard for the puck, man.
Right.
It is mad little French accent.
So this is inside information, and Jordan had heard this story when we went with a particular player that got drafted by the Penguins, and I eventually played there for a little while, played in Wilkes-Barre. So Michael Therrien, in the playoff runs, used to have a Red Bull and a dart, or you want to call it a cigarette, in the hallway of the igloo between periods. That's how hyped up this guy is. So he is intense. Jordan, you're freezing somewhat again here. All right, so let's talk about a couple other coaches here today. John Stevens, some success in Philly, some success in LA. We also had Dan Bilesma on the list as well. So in terms of Danny Bilesma, again, I'm not sure if you want to bring him back. Just having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. I'm sort of going to weave in and out of the screen. Hopefully Jordan comes back. All right, looking at the next topic, looking around the league tonight. So in terms of looking around the league, we have a few games tonight. We have two games that are really interested for me. We have the Jets and Canadians. Here he is. There we go. All right, coach is available. So left me hanging dry there.
Buddy, I texted you. Don't worry, I took care of it.
I saw that. Yeah. All good.
Good old Kojako, brother.
Yeah.
Pay $129 for their top internet, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
So
that's when you have hamsters running the mill there, bud. Right?
I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the Daryl Suter hire?
Again, you're getting a no-nonsense coach, right? That's what's happening here, Jordan. Jeff Ward just got an extension after the bubble, but that was a bad hire. He's an assistant coach. He's not a head coach. I can't understand these teams that gave extensions to coaches after the bubble. The bubble was nonsense, right? All power to the Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup, but there was no season play prior to the bubble. We got in there, you played one game, and you played the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? How are you going to give an extension of that? I think it's ridiculous. But Daryl Sutter, Cup's in LA, farm boy. He's already said, I'm not going to take any BS from these players. Right?
Yeah.
So he's coming in there to kick some ass. And I think, and again, I was just going to talk about one of the games tonight, the Flames and Oilers, Jordan. That's a big game tonight. He's not going to be behind the bench because of quarantine situations and whatnot. I think that he's scheduled to be with the team on Tuesday. But you're going to see a change of environment there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah. So Tom Wilson, the cheap shot artist, was right back at it. Laid out Brandon Carlo pretty bad yesterday with a boarding. He's been offered an in-person hearing. We went back to when we played the Capitals just last week. With the sound bites where he's telling our players "F you," sent Jaws Jankowski into, like you said, the 6th row out there. Brother, okay, he's done this against us in the playoffs. Right? He's done it against us in the regular season, and he's done it to a plethora of other teams in the regular season with his cheap shot nonsense. What does the NHL have to do, and when are they going to do it to get through to this guy, bro?
Okay, so let's look at Tom Wilson very quickly here with what he's done and his prior sentences here. So, his first suspension came in 2017. Okay. And it happened in a preseason game, and he got suspended for 4 games. Okay. For boarding St. Louis rookie Sammy Blas. Okay. So he got 4 games there. On May 2nd, 2018, we all recall this as being Penguin fans. He hit Zach Anton Reese right in the head. Concussion, broke his jaw. He got suspended 3 games. Okay.
What a disaster. 3 games.
Right?
Are you kidding me?
Okay. That same year, the following season in October 3rd, 2018, he was suspended again for a legal hit to the head to a former Penguin, former draft pick, Oscar Sundqvist, okay, during a preseason game. So now you're talking 2 out of his suspensions are in preseason when really, you shouldn't even be doing
they're fodder games, bro.
Yeah,
they're fodder games.
Right. Okay. So he got suspended for 20 regular season games. Okay. But it got reduced to 16 games.
Okay. Why is this guy getting a reduction when he's now a 3-time offender? What is this nonsense, bro?
Right.
Anyways, continue.
So one of the things with Wilson, and I'm not an advocate of this, but somebody needs to teach him a lesson. That is the bottom line. Somebody needs to go after him, maybe target his head and get him out of the game because he is a dangerous hockey player. He can ruin hockey players' careers, what he's doing. The hit to Carlo last night was devastating. He went for his head. And even if you have Marchand in between intermissions, they had a live interview.
I saw the interview with I saw it.
Yeah. And he, was throwing F-bombs left and right, which deservedly so. And Jack Edwards, the Boston commentator, which some guys hate, some guys love. I love watching him and listening to him.
Oh, are you talking about the call when he made the call on the goal?
Yeah. So, but
he got a good view of it from the penalty box.
Yeah. Like, this guy is a dirty son of a bitch. He deserves to get hit high, hit hard, and get knocked out because there is no place for him in this game. That being said, he has the tools to be a good hockey player.
Agreed.
Skates well, shoots well, passes well. He could be a force. He could go down as one of the best power forwards in the game because he's got all the tools. But he does stupid shit, and stupid shit causes guys to maybe lose their career. And you know what? It's got to stop. Now, if the NHL gives him a suspension of, 5 games, 6 games, Elliot Friedman just tweeted out now that because he's a repeat offender, they can throw the book at him again. Let's see what they do because this is going to be a message. And, when you see these suspensions happening, the whole league is paying attention to what's happening here because guys like him that sort of, play with their elbows up and it's chin picnic all the time. If he gets 5 or 6 games, so what? I get 5 or 6 games. But if you lay the book on this guy and he gets 30 games, right? That's maybe the rest. I would suspend him, Jordan. I'll tell you this, guys, right now. Disagree or agree, suspend them for the rest of this regular season. That's it.
I got to ask you.
Yeah.
What did you think about what Peter Laviolette said? He said that the hit on Carlo was a quote-unquote hockey hit. And if that was a suspendable play, then all hitting really is going to probably have to be removed.
I would say, you know what? If I'm the Bruins, I'm firing the puck at the bench and trying to hit Laviolette next time I play him. That's what I would say. But Laviolette, again, he's a classless bum. I have no time for him. He would not be one a coach that I would want for Pittsburgh at any time. He coaches those dirty teams. Like again, when he was with Philly, when we had those series, and how they played against us, and the only really reason why we lost to them that one series, where it was like back and forth, high paced games, a lot of goals, was they were playing dirty. I think that was in 2013, right? Just a disaster. But again, it doesn't surprise me because I don't think that guy has a lot of class.
KL Day says 30 games would be justified. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think 30 games would be. 30 games rest of the season, or if you want to go even further, and this will really shake up the NHL, send a message, you give them the rest of the regular season in the first round.
And I agree with that. I mean, and no reduction this time around. That's
no reduction,
bro.
No reduction. It's guys like Laviolette that ruin this league. I love hits. I love big hits. I love clean hits. I think hitting is part of the game. It's fantastic. Hockey's hockey. It's a big boys game, but there is no need to go after the head.
I agree. All right, brother. So our last topic here before we get out of here, taking a look around the NHL, and just, I mean, we start with what's on the slate so far. Obviously, the Rangers beat the Devils 6-3. The Penguins, obviously we talked about it, beat the Flyers 4-3. The Islanders keep on winning. They won 5-2, and the Panthers beat the Nashville Predators 6-2. And then on tap for tonight, Minnesota and Arizona at 7 p.m. Eastern, as well as the Leafs and Canucks at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then at 8 Eastern, you got the Blue Jackets and the Dallas Stars. Also at 7 o'clock, you got Winnipeg and Montreal. And also at 8 o'clock, you got the Ducks and the Avalanche. Then at 9 o'clock, you got the Blues and the Kings. Then at 10 o'clock, a game that I'm probably going to watch tonight, the one I'm looking forward to the most, just because of the rivalry, the Flames and the Oilers. And then another good rivalry game at 10:30 with the Golden Knights and the Sharks. When we take a look around the NHL and the slate of games tonight, which ones kind of catch your eye?
Well, the Jets Canadians game. I'm looking at that game right now because the Canadians are trying to get back in that 4 spot, so that should be a good game. Going back to, like you said, not a lot of people are maybe they're not Vegas Knights fans or Sharks. I watched the game last night. That was pretty good. Sharks tied it towards the end, but Pacioretty got his second goal in overtime over the last week or so. It just amazes me, Jordan, when I watch the Vegas Knights. They have a better roster than the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's unbelievable. From top to bottom, all 4 lines are rocking. They got Leonard and Fleury in the pipes. Their D, you have Theodore, you have Peter Angelo. Like, it's just nonstop, and they're so fun to watch. They're such a good hockey team. Mark Stone's such an underrated hockey player. The guy's incredible. He can't skate very well, but he gets the job done. He has great hockey IQ. Edmonton, Calgary, Battle of Alberta. We're always looking forward to that. I want to see what Calgary's response is. I know that Sutter's not behind the bench, but how do they respond? Because you have to remember too, Jordan, is that when a coach gets fired, a new coach comes in, and Sutter's going to be watching the tube tonight, watching the game. This is an audition for these players. Okay, are they staying? Are they going? It's a new slate for that roster. Columbus and Dallas. Columbus, 500 right now. Dallas under 500. Big game in that division. And then does Nathan McKinnon play tonight? He was hit up high the other night. He didn't play last night. They won in overtime last night, Colorado. Again, I watched that game. Very fun to watch, back and forth. Colorado has so many weapons. I still think their goaltending is somewhat weak to win a cup. And then you have the Leafs. Very entertaining team to watch. From top to bottom, a lot of good goal scorers. And Vancouver's fun to watch as well. A lot of offense there, and I'm sure it's going to be a little shootout, and I'm sure that the Leafs are going to come back from losing the other night.
And that boy we identified doesn't play tonight, but he plays tomorrow at 2:30. Patrick Kane is coming for you, Connor. He's coming hard and he's coming fast. And because of his injury, Austin Matthews is starting to fall a little bit behind, but he's obviously got the offensive firepower. We can get right back into it. But that boy, Patrick Kane, he's coming, baby.
It's such a good story too, with Taves being out. And then yesterday, Seabrook announced his retirement. Seabrook, it was a mainstay on that defensive line when they were winning those cups. Very good defenseman. But to see them at 31 points, 13-7-5, the Blackhawks, and Kane actually being that leader with all the young players that they have, it's a good story.
Makes you jealous, huh?
Yeah. Well, listen, and this is the thing. Like, you look at our roster as a Penguins fan, and you're just scratching your head. Why are we not in a playoff spot? And we touched upon it on the beginning of the episode. I think it all comes down to structure. It comes down to coaching. Another thing, again, the Islanders. The Islanders are first place in the East Division. The New York friggin' Islanders. Barry Trotz, okay? Great coach. Wherever he goes, he was in Nashville for all those years. They didn't win a cup, but they were in first.
They were always consistently great,
making the playoffs, first, second. He goes to Washington. He gets them a cup, right? I bet you that's a big regret Washington has, getting rid of him, because they could have maybe gone back to back or still be going on that pace. And now he has the Islanders. You look at their roster, okay? Matt Martin, a plus player, 6 points. Right? Then you look at our fourth line, we have minus players. We have, guys doing in-between passes at the blue line, neutral zone. It's structure. That's all it is. And
it makes you wonder what he could do with a roster like the one we have, bro.
Cups.
Even with the few civs we have in the bottom six. You know what I mean?
Cups. One other thing before we go tonight is that, a player like Lafferty makes that move today with the drop pass that leads to a 2-on-0 and a goal. Okay. Why the hell is he on the ice? He should have never played the rest of the game. I'm sorry. You need to send a message. Sully doesn't send a message to his players. Okay? You make that mistake. You don't see the ice anymore, especially because he's a fourth liner. Okay? You need to start sending messages. These guys get mulligans all the time. Jank on the PK. Horrible PK when what was it? The only PK power play goal they scored, okay? He didn't take his man. He just stood there, okay? And then he goes out on other PKs, the rest of the game. Nonsense. You shouldn't get out there. You're done. Yeah. You are done. And they get mulligans. And this is – Sully's going to go down with this ship because of his coaching. And then you look at the Jets again. They're starting to creep up. They're 7 points behind the Leafs. I really think they're going to be a contender in the North. Are they for real? I like their roster. But again, it's Saturday night. Get the beverages out. Get the beverages out. Get ready for a night of hockey. Have some fun. Leaf fans out there, I'm sure you're going to be excited about the games. Tomorrow is hockey day in the U.S., which is fantastic. And again, just wanted to mention before we go as well as today they had the funeral service for Walter Gretzky, Canada's hockey dad. I'm sure all our viewers know him. Great man, represented Canada wherever he went. I've coached and been at that arena that has a statue of him. He actually has a parking spot there right at the front just for Walter. And he's the dad of the best hockey player in the world. I know, even though we have the 6'6" behind us, and but incredible guy, and sad to see him pass. But
you better not go try parking in that space next time you're there, brother.
Right? No. Hey, I get the back parking spaces, right? Because just in case the parents want to run after me after the games, right?
All right, brother. So before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Back to back, we got the Rangers tomorrow, 7:30. You talked about it the previous show. We got 2 games against the Rangers, 2 games against Buffalo. We cannot lose any points to them if we want to contend to get a playoff spot.
Agreed. These are 4 must-win games and 4 should-win games. Let's call them that too.
Right.
All right, guys. So as usual, we will be back next time. We'll let y'all know when we're coming back next time. Might be Tuesday, might be sooner than that, but we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated. Until then, hope everyone has a good Saturday night. Enjoy the slate of hockey in front of you. And until next time, Let's go Pens.
Let's go.